approve a transfer from the county's reserve fund to the sheriff's current year budget in order to accommodate the intended purchase of a Kodiak fixed-wing aircraft to include surveillance and imaging equipment. This transfer would allow for a one-time acquisition expense not to exceed $5 million. The Polk County Sheriff's Office currently deploys a Cessna 182 fixed-wing aircraft as a public safety aerial platform, which does not include surveillance or imaging equipment. As the county has grown, new challenges have become apparent that hinder public safety aerial surveillance operations, including the arrival and departure of Amazon flights at the Lakeland Linder Airport. These large commercial aircraft maintain approach and departure altitudes which are ideal for public safety surveillance activities, especially for the current Cessna 182 aircraft, which is not equipped with imaging technology. As such, the Polk County Sheriff's Office encounters situations where aerial surveillance activities must be discontinued or abandoned altogether. The Kodiak type aircraft, complete with surveillance and imaging technology, will allow for unabated continuous aerial operations over a much broader area and at higher altitudes in response to criminal activity. Another reoccurring challenge in the transport is the transporting of equipment, supplies, and personnel to other jurisdictions as part of disaster deployments or other mutual aid support missions. The Cessna 182 aircraft limits the Polk County Sheriff's Office ability to address these needed support services. The Kodiak aircraft has more weight carrying capacity and has the unique capability of short distance landings and takeoffs. Both features provide a host of flexibility when deployed to rural, isolated areas or storm-impacted communities. The Polk County Sheriff's Office has evaluated purchase options for both new and used Kodiak 100 or Kodiak 900 type aircrafts. Used aircraft do sell fast, and they do provide the best pricing opportunities to local governments, which may save between $500,000 and $700,000 compared to the cost of a new Kodiak 100 aircraft. The Polk County Sheriff's Office is seeking board approval to earmark $2.5 million of their returned FY23 budget funds to their current aviation reserves account. They also are requesting board approval to access up to $5 million from their aviation reserves to purchase an aircraft that will meet these operational parameters. The Polk County Sheriff's Office is currently looking at used aircraft that would be well below the $5 million earmark if negotiations go as anticipated. The current Cessna 182 aircraft would be sold at auction and the proceeds returned to the county commissioners. Funding for this acquisition is available in the amount of $2.5 million in the General Fund Sheriff's Aircraft Reserve account and the other $2.5 million in the General Fund Reserve for budget stabilization. Mr. Chair, members of the board, before I make a recommendation to the board, I'd like to ask Chief Ian Floyd to come to the podium and on behalf of the Sheriff's Office make a few general comments about the vision, mission, and value of the aircraft change program.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Mr. Beasley did a great job summing up what we're asking for, and if you all have any questions, I can certainly answer those for you.
Questions? I think we understand what's going on.
Yes, sir. You know, it's the Cessna 182 has been a good aircraft for us, but obviously, like Mr. Beasley talked about, with the advent of the Prime Air, they're talking about 40 takeoffs and landings a day. With the altitude that they're at, we simply can't perform those missions. And really, the primary mission is surveilling, folks that are involved in trafficking narcotics here in the county, methamphetamine, fentanyl. These are high-level narcotics investigations, and that airplane is critical for that. And simply, we can't get that high with the Cessna. We've been very deliberate about our process with selecting a new aircraft. The Kodiak 100 it's a safe aircraft. It's economical for us, and it really checks all the boxes that we need with those investigations. It's a critical component to those investigations. And with Prime Air, it really limits the real estate where we're able to conduct those investigations. And certainly, that's a large portion of Lakeland. It affects portions of Winter Haven, Bartow. So with the Kodiak, it'll help us do that.
With the fentanyl bust y'all had a week or two ago, was the 182 involved in that?
Well, that went all the way, that came in from North Florida, actually from California, Compton, California. We had to utilize other aircraft for that investigation.
Okay.
But had we had the Kodiak, we would have been able to do that.
Right. George?
We heard Friday that 4 of your 5 pilots are cross-trained in both fixed wing as well as helicopter pilots.
Yes, sir. And we'll, obviously, the other pilot, we'll get them cross-trained as well.
How long has the Cessna been in service?
It's about 20 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir.
Some questions have come up in the last few days from people about privacy concerns and,
Sure.
Who's going to review and look at and how's the information stored for how long, is that something that anybody should be concerned about?
Well, I heard.
And other folks,
Drug dealers.
Other folks say, well, yeah, drug dealers. Other folks say moonshiners. I'm worried about the moonshiners, but some people say, yeah, we have Sheriff Judd now. Not a big concern. Who comes next? Maybe a bigger concern about having this kind of military grade equipment flying above us. I guess constantly. But the real question is, how is that information dealt with?
Well, first off, on the aircraft, we're talking about a Kodiak 100, and for those of you all aren't familiar, it's something you would see in Alaska. It's a kind of a puddle jump getting from people from one point to another. So the idea that it's this massive aircraft with a satellite dish on top, I heard some of the comments earlier. That's, tinfoil hat, crazy talk. We're not out there surveilling law-abiding citizens. This is primarily for drug traffickers who are, pushing poison into our community. That's who we're going after. And, this is a big component to those investigations. That information isn't videotaped. I heard talk about we're looking into people's houses. That's conspiracy theory, crazy talk. We don't do that. We put bad guys in jail. We put drug traffickers in jail. And that's what this aircraft is meant for.
Anybody else?
Well,
right.
one other thing.
Sure.
And I brought this up in the meeting. Obviously, you just talked about use in Alaska. People refer to it as a bush plane.
Yes, sir.
But the reality is the lifespan of this plane should be well beyond even
40 years.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's an investment that won't have to occur again for another 40 years with proper maintenance.
Sure.
I think that's important. It kind of makes it a little cheaper when you spread the cost out over a 40-year period.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Chair, consistent with, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Consistent with the board's number one priority, that being the commitment to public safety in Polk County, I would highly recommend that the board approve the transfer from the reserves to the sheriff's budget for the purchase of a Kodiak fixed-wing aircraft complete with aerial surveillance and imaging systems at a cost not to exceed $5 million.
Second.
Motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. H2.
Thank you, Floyd.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, item